Well, hey, Cincinnati, it has been, I think, 2 weeks. It's been far too long since we have talked with one another. And we're excited to be back at it tonight with a special episode of CST here on the Monday Night Live show. Got a bit of more of a roundtable discussion tonight with a few more faces than you're used to seeing, and some new faces tonight, which I'll introduce here in just a moment, or a new face, which I'll introduce here in just a moment. This is episode 488 of Cincinnati Soccer Talk, and this is our season end wrap-up roundtable. We're looking back at the full season of the full body of work of FC Cincinnati this year, looking at some roster moves and what our expectations will be for next season. So welcome into the show. Let me introduce our new face tonight that is a voice you've maybe heard or comments you've seen. Rupesh, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you on the live show here.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Rupesh is coming on as our expert roster guy that knows the money, knows the talk, knows the gam, tam, all of that stuff, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
expert's a very loose term. Sure.
I hear Chris Albright wants to hire him.
No.
As much as any human can possibly understand those rules, like Rupesh is an expert in as much as anyone possibly can be.
Anybody is an expert, because I swear they make up the rules every year and they change them up. So,
well, Rupesh J8 says hello.
Jay's not wrong.
Jay, come on.
Oh man, I just had to throw a comment up there for you, Rupesh. And Jose, man, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Going good. Getting ready for the holidays here. A little tired because when we decorate the house here, it's an industrial strength production. So finally finished everything yesterday. Thank goodness. But glad to be back here on our special show here.
Yeah,
Rupesh, definitely you are the expert here in this group.
We've got some World Cup talk tonight, and my understanding, Jose, is you're our resident World Cup expert, dating back how many years of 1970s or more that you've been.
I saw my first one. Saw Pele in all his glory. That was amazing.
Yeah, fantastic. So we've got our resident salary expert, we've got our World Cup expert, and we've got Josh Dye. Our resident,
that checks. That checks. That tracks. That's you done. That's it. Just our resident. He's here. It's just we got experts, and then we have the resident here. So
and you're the resident something. I'm just here hosting the show, man. Like I'm just asking you guys questions and letting you all be the experts of whatever. What do you want to be the expert of tonight?
I'm just drinking this beer is what I'll be the expert of.
Fantastic.
That's what I'm bringing to this Monday night. No, it's fantastic. Great to it's always great to be on. I appreciate you guys always letting me on. So
it's been good, man. When your schedule changed a little bit and freed up your Monday nights, we've had you a little bit more often this end of the season. So it's been good. It's been
helpful. Hopefully that stays. But the world of television just changes daily. So we'll see.
Yep. We may have another visitor in tonight, and we'll introduce him when and if he is able to pop in. Before we get too far in the show, let's thank Apollo Home. Sadly, Apollo says FC Cincinnati's season has come to an end, but the heating season is just starting. If you have any concerns about your HVAC system, or if you have any plumbing or electrical needs, give Apollo Home a call, shoot them a text, or book an appointment online at apollohome.com. So, gentlemen, we don't have a game to talk about, but we do always want to hit our best and worst, right? There's been a lot to this season, and so as you look back, we just want to set this up, and anybody that's listening or watching live, love to hear from you here in the comments tonight. Looking back at the entire season, best and worst of FC Cincinnati's 2025 body of work. And Rupesh, since you're the new guy, I think I'm going to start with you.
So for me, the best this year was having some U22, some younger guys that actually seemed like they hit, specifically under Janike and Samuel Guidi. It's exciting to see two young guys that just look like they're ready to go. And, Samuel Guidi may have put a claim on the other center midfield spot next to Buka. That was my best. My worst is the offense just never clicked this year. it seemed like a lot of our goals were just individual effort or skill, and it wasn't really team buildup. I know Josh hates the XG stuff, but I think we got found out that we just weren't offensively as good as, people like, you keep winning 1-goal games, like Jose would say. We got found out, and the offense just never clicked the whole year. So those are my best and worst.
Yeah, those are good shouts there. Those are common themes, right, that we talked about all season. And I think that was pretty consistent all the way from start to finish. So good shout there. Jose, best and worst.
Well, I think my best has to be Roman back to shot stopping form. I mean, I think he had a little bit of a dip last year, even though he was good still. But we again saw that great shot stopping form. And I got to build on what Rupesh said. I mean, seeing Giddy and Shanique out there, I mean, that was a breath of fresh air to see 2 young U22s start. And, I think as they mature, they are going to be a tremendous addition to this. But also I want to add Hagelin as a surprising comeback. I never really expected that to happen. My worst is Matt Miazga never got back in form. And that's not a knock on him. It's just, I think not having him in form was a huge hit to that back line. And again, building on what Rupesh said, honorable mention to that multi-million-dollar front line that never got the chemistry right. Yeah,
no doubt. We'll probably talk more about that later on. How do we fix that in these roster moves for sure? Josh, best and worst.
Yeah, my best, and I'm going all the way back. I guess sort of kind of throughout, but this season, I think in particular, remembering how it started, got to give a shout out to Chris Albright's ability and ownership's willingness to solve issues at the drop of a hat. I mean, it was this time last year where all of a sudden the entire offseason was blown up by Lucho Acosta, and there was no certainty anywhere of, okay, we have this Kevin Denke guy. We have no idea how good he's going to be. We think he's going to be great, but will he? And, credit to Chris for, whether it be lucky or good, having a plan in place to quickly offload the most distressed asset you could possibly have, bring in a guy like a Vander who still has MVP pedigree, and still find a way to kind of keep the train on course, where any other team, any other season, this might have been an entire lost cause. So, as you guys mentioned, finding guys like Sammy Gidi and Ender Echenike, kind of out of nowhere, adding more versatility to this lineup. Like, Chris Albright did a bang-up job this year, and it's going to hopefully pay dividends into next year and beyond. So that was awesome. And then my worst, Rupesh, you're right. The XG kind of makes my skin crawl a little bit, but not entirely. Got to give it some credit where it's due. But so my worst is Pat Noonan kind of making his bed, laying in it, but never changing the sheets. He never really showed the capability or the desire to really divert from the plan that was in place. Whether things weren't working out. Now, coach might be able to showcase some things differently in another show, but Pat Noonan is kind of just set in his way, and of like, here's how we're gonna play, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna win this certain kind of way, and like, you guys are not wrong. They got exposed. This was the story. It was the storyline from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year to the end of the year. So hopefully next season we can kind of see some more flexibility, some more creativity, something different when things hit a little snag. So that was my worst.
Yeah, good ones there too. We've got a couple in the chat here from Jeff Tebbets. Says his best, Albright cracked at least a ground rule double on the summer market, and then worst, the amazing Dotto. Watch him disappear right before your eyes. Yeah. Man, he was my breakout player of the season, and he seemed to be on track a little bit for that. And then suddenly he wasn't there. Jay Yates in the chat says strong showing in the standings, despite it often feeling otherwise. I'm going to address that in some of my final thoughts tonight. And then worse, no killer instinct. I want this team to get mean in the off season. Yeah, absolutely there. The thing I want to mention, and I'll get to my best and worst here in a minute, is I've talked about this, I think, once or twice on this show, because as we've tracked, these 1-goal wins, and Jose, you and I've joked with you about that all year, and
Yeah,
they continue to do it. But here's the thing. I think it was Newcastle United a few years back, had an incredible season. But they an incredible season, top of the table, near the top of the table. They were about to be relegated the year before, turned everything around. And they had a goal differential of like +9. When everyone else around them, above them, below them on the table, were in the 20s of goal differential. And Cincinnati is at a +12, and everyone around them is high teens or 20s. So that concerns me next year. Like, teams have started to figure out Cincinnati a little bit, and unless we get some things to change and get that offense to click, I'm a little concerned about how that plays out next year. So that's my concern. Maybe I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit as we get to expectations for next year. We had one more come in here in the chat from Edmund Taylor. Says Buka is unsung hero all year.
Yes.
And Ender was fire. Absolutely. And worse, the disappearing of Vander at the end of the season too. So a couple disappearing acts for FC Cincinnati at the end of the season for sure. My best, I'm going to go to a moment in time. I don't get to a lot of games from where I live, right? Josh, you probably get to even fewer than I do from where you live. FC Cincinnati games anyway.
Facts.
But to be in the stadium for some of these special moments of the season, I was there with my son and his soccer team. They were in town, I think, at the Blue Chip showcase that weekend. We were up section 220, I believe, top of the stadium, and Kevin Denke scores on a bicycle. And I almost rolled down every run of those rows in the stadium because I jumped up so fast. I almost blacked out. I was so excited. But what a moment that was to be in the stadium for that play with a full team of teenagers who, by the way, were watching the Barcelona game on their phone instead of watching the FC Cincinnati game in front of their eyes. So that was maybe my worst, but maybe not. My worst overall for the season was Luca Orshano. Like, I loved his play last year. He was incredible. He was a breakout star. No one saw him coming. The way he took on defenders, the way he put balls across, the way he finished in 2024. 2025 was, I don't even think it really a shadow of himself. There was something that didn't click. Like, he always, all season, looked out of place. And I wanted him so bad to be the Orishano. We all did. Wanted to see him be the Orishano of the year before. Maybe call it an MLS sophomore slump. I don't know what it was. If he sticks around, it's got to be better. It's got to be different. But maybe he just overperformed. He stepped up and he played with somebody like Lucho Acosta. We talk about the Messi effect. We'll talk about that maybe later in the show. Playing with a guy like Lucho Acosta maybe made him better. And without him, who knows? But that was my worst of the season, man. Like, we were so high on him, and then just didn't perform this year. So anyway, well, good shouts there. Best and worst of the season. If you have more, if you're listening, if you're watching, go ahead and drop those in the chat. We'd love to hear from them, even if we don't get them on the screen or talk about them. We'd love to hear from you and get those up here. I want to move on to maybe a topic that's a little hard to talk about for us right now is the MLS Cup final. The game that Cincinnati, again, did not make it to, and were ousted by the eventual MLS Cup champions in Inter Miami. Again. Right, yeah. So it was a good match. I assume y'all watched it or parts of it, highlights of it.
I watched parts of it.
Okay. It was a good match. Josh, did you get a chance? Were you working? Did you get a chance to get your eyes on that game?
I was working. We had it on a monitor, so I unfortunately was not able to partake all of it, but I did get to see the highlight that was cut in the show that I was working on. So that was the first time I saw that game. Was like, hit the play. Oh, there's highlights on this TV. Okay, cool. So yeah, that was it. Unfortunately,
I watched from beginning to end. It was a good game. Wow. Yeah, I had to. I just had to do it. Yeah, I just had to do it. It was a good match. I was hoping for more from Vancouver, but when you get down to a team like Miami, you have to put the pedal to the metal, like hit it to the floor and try and attack all out, which opens the back door, as we learned, to Messi and his crew getting in on goal a little bit more often than maybe they would if we were playing, a back and forth match. So Vancouver looked good. Jose, you had some stats in here. Possession 65%. Is that legit?
Yeah. I mean, Vancouver won. Overall, they were the better team statistically speaking. I mean, 65% versus 35 is Miami. Shots on goal a little better. I mean, not much, 4-3, but still, overall shots 10 to Vancouver, 8 to Miami. From what I saw, they control the midfield in long stretches of the game. But Miami performed clinically well. I mean, they've been a juggernaut in the last 3 months. They were unstoppable. And they all clicked. Yeah, obviously having the GOAT helps, having guys like Jordi Alba, Busquets, and even Suarez. You have superstars. They know the moment. They've been there. They've been in World Cup finals, Champions League finals, Euro Cup finals, Copa America. They know the drill. They know how to raise their game in important games. But their new acquisitions were also phenomenal. I mean, and I know we'll talk more about it, the Messi effect, but it's almost like they had been playing together for a long time. And while I don't think much of Mascherano as a great strategist, he put the pieces in place and they clicked. And they clicked really, really fast. And they were unstoppable. And as somebody said, we ran into a buzzsaw when we played them.
Yeah. Miami, end of the season. So starting in October, all their matches from October through the MLS Cup final, they had 9 matches. They were 8-1 in those last 9 matches of the season. They scored 33 goals in 9. That's just under 4 goals a game, which is unheard of. That is incredible. And gave up 8. So they were a little leaky, but not nearly as maybe they could have been or were earlier in the season when they weren't scoring as many goals. And they did a lot of it, right? Without, you mentioned Suarez. Suarez wasn't on the field the last, 4 matches through the playoffs? And they did it with a 19-year-old and Silvetti on the left side, putting pressure on teams, attacking, sending balls across to Messi putting them in. They look good. They were a good, legitimate soccer team, and I hate to say it, they spent the money, bought themselves a championship maybe, but they earned it with the players that they had on the field. As much as I hate to watch that was pretty soccer. And they did well. Josh, we mentioned the Messi effect a couple times here. And we kind of got that with maybe in relation with Silvetti playing there on the left side. Is he as good as he looks, or is that playing with a guy like Messi that actually elevates his game and makes him look better than maybe he is?
I think it's both. I think Silvetti is, for me, that's the Messi effect. Like, that's a guy that was, highlighted. Look at his stats. I mean, his value is there, multi-million-dollar worth, whatever, say whatever you want about transfer markets, value, aesthetic, whatever. But that's a guy that normally, he's 19 years old, playing in the top league of South America. He's ripe for a European team to jump in and make him the next big superstar. And he's 19 years old and now gets to go and gets proposed the opportunity to go play with his perceived idol. I mean, you got to imagine a kid that young growing up in Argentina. Like, of course he's going to do it, but that's a normal guy. That's like, he's going to Europe. He's going to be in an academy. He's going to play for a mid-table whatever. But instead, he gets to come to America and play with Messi. So, like, if that's what comes from Messi being here, is that it showcases to younger players of that ilk who can say, oh, I can go to America, play with these elite players, maybe not Messi, obviously, in a couple of years, but go here, be on a stage, play with elite players like this, and then make a bigger jump later. Silvetti's, I can imagine Silvetti's is going to only be here for a couple of years. Like, at this point, like, that's a guy that's, he'll be in a higher tier of Europe now, having put on display, playing with Messi, which, yes, obviously helps every player be better around him, but showcasing that, oh, he's built for this, he's ready to go, the talent is what it actually, you know, is rumored to be. Now he can go and vault his career from here. So I think that's if that's the Messi effect, then it'll be a success. Everything else is kind of just whatever.
Yeah. You know, so you've got the Messi effect there. And I watched Vancouver, and you guys said you didn't watch all the game. I watched start to finish. Vancouver has the Mueller effect. And what I noticed in having Mueller on the team was a leader on the squad that when a player was down on his team, made a bad play, bad effort, he was there, arm around the kid, coaching him up, talking him up, getting in his face, you know, pushing him a little bit further. Multiple times in this match, you had a leader like that wrapping his arms around guys saying, let's go, let's get this done. It's not over yet. And that's a leader that I think if we bring it back to Cincinnati, we haven't seen a leader like that in a number of years. We have a leader in Matt Miazga who will get in your face and he'll scream at you, he'll push you, and you need a leader like that too. But a guy like Mueller that's going to come alongside, pick you up off the ground, encourage you, and then kick you in the pants and let's go, right? And so having his leadership on the field was noticeable for Vancouver, at least in this game. I didn't watch much of their season with him here at the end, but it was noticeable what he brought to the table for that squad, and probably likely did in all his years in Germany.
Too bad we didn't get him here, huh?
Right? Yeah, who knows, man? Who knows what would have been? Maybe it wouldn't have been any different. But maybe so. Rupesh, we lost you there for a minute. You back with us?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, all good. Just making sure all your stuff's connected and you're good to
go.
Yeah,
no, I'm connected.
All right. Very good. Let's move on a little bit from the MLS Cup final because I want to get to the roster moves. Because this is big time FC Cincinnati conversation here. I don't want to lose sight of our sponsors. So before we get into that conversation, let's thank Beyond Exercise, who is a local physical therapy and fitness business that helps people stay active and injury free. They've helped some of our local MLS Next Pro, and FCC Academy players with their health and performance needs. Check out their suite of services at gobeyondexercise.com. Now, having said that, we bring in our roster, our salary, our expert in all things GAM, TAM, and everything else that none of the rest of us understand, Rupesh Sharma, to talk about FCC's postseason roster moves.
Yeah, so decisions were made last week, were announced last week. FCC picked up options for Brian Anunga, Teenager Debbie, Steven Jimenez, Evan Leroux, Dem, and Matt Miazga. They did decline options for Kai Kamara, Yuya Kubo, Brad Smith, and Alvis Powell. But it sounds like they're trying to bring Alvis back, probably trying to get him on a lower number. So they were in talks with him. I haven't seen anything's been worked out yet. And then for loans, Dom Marchuk's loan ended at the end of the MLS season, and they declined, and they didn't even try to pick him up. So he's back at Real Salt Lake. And from reporting out of England, it looks like Lucas Engel, they couldn't work out a deal with Middlesbrough, so he's going to be back there starting January 1st. And then we still have Brenner and Ayub Jabari, who it looks like they're trying to negotiate to get both those guys. I don't know what they're going to do or how they're going to do it at this point. If I was going to say one of those two would still be here, I'd guess Ayub Jabari, just because it's probably going to be easier to work him into the salary cap situation FCC has, which it was announced earlier today that Alvaro Barreal has been sold to Santos in Brazil, and that FC Cincinnati gets a transfer fee of about $4 million for him. One thing to remember out of that is $1 million of that goes to his club that we bought him from out of Argentina. I think it's Vélez Sarsfield.
Yeah.
So they get $1 million out of it. And there is some confusion. Everybody's a little confused on how much of the rest of the money can be converted to GAM. So it looks like FC Cincinnati is going to have anywhere between about 3 million and 4.7 million in cap space right now. And they need to sign at least 6 players to the senior roster off of that money they have.
Yeah.
So Chris Albright's got a little bit of work to do.
Yes.
And they have, I believe, 7 players currently signed to the supplemental roster. So there's quite a bit of stuff to get done.
How's that impacted if Brenner leaves? Is that
Nothing
because he's on loan? Nothing that changes nothing.
No, Brenner's right now. The numbers that I just quoted, Brenner and Ayub Jabari are not and Alphys Powell are not counted in that.
Okay. So if they stay, that's going to take a hit,
take
significant hit.
Yeah, and the reporting that that I saw from Laurel earlier this year was that Brenner's purchase option was about $6.2 million to make his loan permanent. So there would be no way to do that because he'd have to be a designated player at that point. So right now, I would assume they're trying to negotiate a new deal or change the terms, or maybe trying to negotiate another loan. Who knows? Because I don't know how Brenner's going to fit back in Udinese. So that's the issue there.
Now, Garber mentioned after the Cup final some changes, and it sounded like they were like he was shooting from the hip on some of them because they were things that I hadn't heard about. You know, we talk about the schedule change, the roster builds, like the different things that he says are coming. He didn't hint at exactly what it was, but I also heard rumors of maybe a 4th DP coming into play. What's the validity of any of those rumors that you're hearing on all the sites and people you're talking to?
Yeah, I honestly, the rumor of a 4th DP that has to be a U.S. player has been out there. I haven't seen anything to really make it look like it's coming. At this point, I would assume any big roster rule changes would be done with an eye towards that 2027, 2028 season that's coming, because changing it now seems a little... I would wait till you get to where you get to your new schedule, especially because my understanding is with the change of the schedule, MLS is trying to get a new CBA with the players union, because the current CBA expires on December 31st, 2027. So they got to get something worked out with them. So that's where we are right now. So I've heard those rumors too. I just don't know that it makes sense to do it now, but they also did that cash transfer thing. Just got announced February of last year, how we got Evander and got rid of Acosta. So
yeah. Who knows what's going to happen end of that off season or end of preseason, moving into the actual season, especially with CONCACAF Champions Cup. They've got their eyes on, we've got to make moves now sooner than later, or, that'll be an interesting move. If you guys, let's stick with the Brenner Ayub Jabari conversation there. If either one of those guys stay, I don't know that both of them do. Which one do you lean towards?
I'm gonna probably do hot take first and say Ayub Jabari. I think Brenner was a revelation, and it's exactly what this team kind of needed at the end here. And obviously it's the feel good story of him wanting to come here, wanting to come back was such a big deal for this franchise, for this fan base. Cincinnati loves nobody more than anybody that wants to be in Cincinnati. And it's a guy like that, his profile, everything. So, but I think this was kind of a mutual, he needed to feel good. The team needed him there. I think Ayub Jabari brings you the different kind of player that allows you to let Kevin Denke not be the hold-up guy, right? He's the bot. Ayub Jabari can be the body and let Kevin Denke face goal more. I think some of the big issues with the attack here was you have Evander dropping down to the top of our own 18 to collect the ball, and then you have the outlet to Kevin Denke being the hold-up play guy, which he's excelled at greatly. Don't get me wrong; he's awesome at it, and it's a great piece to have in your bag. but you want that guy running towards the goal. Like you can't have his back to goal so much when you're paying him that money, when he has the kind of profile that he has. Like, so Ayub Jabari, he's also a huge dude who can play physical and run too. That's the other thing. He can also run. So if that profile striker is available to you already in your house and wasn't making that much more money, it gives you more roster flexibility elsewhere. I think that's kind of the move for me.
Reminds me a bit of the Brandon Vasquez duo. Not that Denke is the Brenner of that duo, but like to have a guy with Brandon Vasquez's size, his smarts and his ability to make runs to the right post and be in the right spot and have the height to finish is a guy like that's what I think Jabari brings. Now, I don't know that I saw the run. Like, he's good with the ball. He's good finishing, right? He wasn't on the field enough for me to recognize, like, is he smart with his runs, right? I'd like to see more of that, but I do think you're right. The profile that he brings reminds me a little bit of what Brandon Vasquez brought to this team that no one since has brought to that striking core.
The other thing. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, like, I'll get to this later in the final thoughts, but it's like, it gives you, like, I'm super curious to see, like, hopefully they get that deal done, because then you get an entire offseason, right? Like, I want to see a preseason with these pieces in place so that we can actually find out how these guys work off each other.
Yeah, and you know what I was going to say, speaking of working with each other, while Brenner was a great addition, you know, and he helped propel us into the playoffs and that win against Columbus. Mm-hmm. Something that I saw there in the last few games was he wasn't clicking with Denke. It's like he preferred to play with Brenner, with Evander, which is fine, but we need the trio to be working as a unit. And I started to get some vibes that not necessarily that he was being selfish, but that, well, maybe this combination is not what we need. Maybe this is not going to work in the long run as a unit, if you will. So I would prefer, I'm kind of agreeing with all, I prefer Jabari also for that other reason.
Yeah. You know, I think Brenner is not necessarily used to being the guy, but he's the guy that wants to be the goal scorer, right? Mm-hmm. And okay, remember, just a season ago was a Golden Boot winner. And he wants the ball at his feet, and he wants to be the guy finishing. And he had to create for himself more than I think he would have liked to. And so when he has opportunities, he's going to take them and not necessarily look across at a streaking Brenner coming to the back post. He's going to try and finish like you want a striker to do, unless you've got another striker that's just as capable making that run, but he's not giving it to him. Either one. They just weren't making it happen.
I think for, like, the realities of Brenner coming back, I think we all kind of agree, and the math checks out that it's slim to none. Like, again, who knows? Brenner coming back at all, chances were just out of nowhere left field. So, you know, anything can happen. Chris Albright can work whatever magic. But if you, as a FC Cincinnati fan, want to find a way to be okay with Brenner not coming back, just look at it as Brenner doing to Columbus, like, finally closing the chapter, right? Like, Brenner came back to beat Columbus in the playoffs, 2 goals, knock him out in stoppage, like, boom, done. 2025 season was all about vanquishing that demon. We had the prodigal son come back to do it. End of chapter, turn the page. Now we venture on to the new future of FC Cincinnati, and it's a feel-good moment for Brenner to be the one to come back and do it. Now we can leave that in the past. Now we can leave all of that in going forward. So keep that in the back of your head, FC Cincinnati fans, of like, it's okay that Brenner's gone because he ultimately came back to do what he was needed to do, and that's kill the Cleveland Crew's heart and soul and rip it out from them and ship out half their coach and their roster and everything. He killed the entire crew. We'll always have that. We'll always.
Yeah, we can say Brenner, the killer of the crew. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I can roll with that. So we're all on board with Jabari coming back next year if Cincinnati can find a way to do that with the money that they have. Well, the biggest need, let's go around the horn here. The biggest need Cincinnati has moving forward, if we could spend money anywhere next season, where would you spend it? Rupesh, I'll start with you.
I think my two that I would say is the forward, because right now, the only forward on the roster I trust is Kevin Denke. The only other two forwards they have are Dem and Stefan Sharilla. So we need another forward, and I think maybe some depth at wingback, because right now all you have are Orishano and Ender, and I don't really know who the backup on either side would be at this point. So those are the two positions I think are the biggest needs right now.
Jose?
I think wingbacks for me is the biggest one. I mean, again, we talked about Hugo Orellano, so I won't get into that. But that's a position that we've had issues now for a couple, 3 years. Need to have somebody there who can game in, game out, be consistent. I mean, Engel, there were games where I said, wow, he's really good. And then there were games like, what are you doing? Like against Miami. I mean, what Engel, the bad Engel showed up at the wrong time. So left side to me needs a lot of attention. Yes, the right side also needs some backup. But I will also say, as an attacking midfielder, maybe Giddy is the guy. But I think we need a little bit more depth in there as well in attacking midfield. If Giddy can continue to develop and be kind of a combination of Obi and a semi-Evander, not to the level of Evander, that's good. But we still need a little depth there.
Yeah, that's a good call. Good shout there. I'm going to go with Josh. I'll let you wrap up this part of the conversation. I'm going to go with our wing backs. We definitely need guys who can get in the attacking third and play a ball that matters, right? Lucas Engel consistently got in the attacking third on his good days and couldn't play a ball that mattered to a guy like Denke who thrives on just send me a ball across the middle. I'll get my foot on it. That's all you need to do. Just send me a ball across and I'll get there. And we didn't see much of that this season, to the extent that when that did happen a couple times, Denke was slow getting to it. Didn't get his foot on the ball, didn't get around a defender because, one, it didn't happen often, and two, he had to play a different style than he's used to playing. But if you watch his highlights, if you watch his season last year in Belgium, that's how he scored his goals. They were one-time tap-ins, balls across, and he's finishing them consistently. Cincinnati, if you're going to have a player like Kevin Denke and you're going to spend the money on a player like Kevin Denke, put the pieces around him that he needs to succeed and be the best that he can be. And honestly, as I look around this roster, certainly we've got a good core. We don't have the depth in some places, but the wing backs is a place I think we need starters. I think Ender has earned a spot as a starter and got in the attack a little bit more, but we need to see it more consistently next year, and maybe he's got that in him. On the left side, we struggled all season, which is traditionally, at least in recent years, where Cincinnati has been really good down that left side, and this year it was not it. So,
but even there, Brian, I have to disagree a little bit. Yes, in attacking wise, yes, but in defending on that left side, we've had problems for a couple, 3 years. Yes,
agreed.
Great attack. When Barreal was here, it was a different story. He could both attack and defend. But Orellano,
it took him a while to get into that.
Yeah, the defending wasn't that great, Jose.
No.
I think
defending.
He was better than Orellano.
When's the last time Jordi Alba played really solid defense?
Barcelona.
So I think we can get away with that. If we have wing backs that can consistently get up and send balls in, we're scoring more goals, and we have more than a plus 12 goal differential. Yeah. If we get leaky on that left side a little bit, I'm okay with that.
Yes, and that one I agree. Yeah, good quality balls into the box. Yes.
Yeah. Josh, bring this conversation home, man. Where's Cincinnati?
Yeah, I mean, you guys took all of the positions, so it's kind of hard to. I mean, we've got two goalkeepers, but you guys are right. Like I joke, it's like you guys nailed the spots. Like it is specifically left wing back. Like if the future is the 3-back system, you need a left wing back that can be able to get up and down the pitch, not only to defend but also to be a person that can distribute, which is where I'm going to go with mine, just to kind of keep it sort of vague, because again, we need a second striker, you need a left wing back. This team needs passers. This team needs active ball movers up the pitch that they struggled mightily with this entire season. Shout out to Nate Gilman, who writes a lot of great stuff for, CST and also his Substack. So check that out if you're an FC Cincinnati supporter. This team has the bottom of the barrel in ball advancement throughout the entire year. So if you're going to find these pieces, you need guys that can move the ball forward. You need, no matter where they are, what position they're playing, you're going to play center backs. You need guys that are active in breaking lines from the back to the front. You need guys in the midfield. Like we know Pavel Buka can do it. We know Sammy Guidi started to show it. Obviously, he's super young and had some turnover issues. You need wingbacks, especially, that can do it. You just need guys all over the field that can pass the ball and break lines and send through balls. And especially if you got a guy like Ender Echenike, who's going to be able to bomb down the right side, you need guys to be able to connect those passes, not just laterally, but vertically, and hitting pinging crosses around, corner to corner. Like, that alone would open up so much of this offense and make the defense significantly better. How often, especially against Miami, did we see one quick turnover and then it's 3 passes and it's in the back of the net? Like, connecting passes all over the field, no matter the position, has got to be the priority of a player profile that Chris Albright fills the rest of this roster with.
Yep. So more important, Josh, in your opinion, moving the guys that can move the ball up the field, or, as Jay Yates says, guys that are just mean?
I mean, I think you can.
Well, no, yeah, I think so. Yeah,
he's not wrong. Like you need some nastiness. Like it was noticeable when Matt Miazga was not on the field, when DeAndre Yedlin was traded. Like, you lost guys who were willing to get in the face of other guys and make them uncomfortable. Like, one of the biggest criticisms I saw of FC Cincinnati against Miami was they respected Messi too much. No one wanted to touch him. Now, listen, Messi is really good at making people not touch him. That's what makes him one of the best players in the world. But nobody made his life uncomfortable all the time, whether it's picking up little nicks and dinks and little shoves and whatever, and like getting in his head, getting in any player's head, like, for that matter. And this team lacked some bite when those guys were gone. So I don't think he's wrong. I think, to answer your question and not dodge it, I'll take the passers over the mean guys, but I think it's okay if you have, to pull a hockey term, if you got a goon, if you sign a goon out there that can bring in to close out a game, a big center back who's just going to, just muscle people and make their lives living hells. Yeah, that's a great signing, because he's probably not going to be super expensive either. So they're both, it's a valuable asset that this team definitely misses.
Yeah. I'm going to use a quick example here. And yes, I'm going to go back to the 1970 World Cup. Brazil was playing England. I mean, it was a game that everybody, oh my God, the defending champions, Brazil, they're probably really angry at how they were treated in 1966. They want revenge, even though they didn't get. And in that game, they made one tiny, small change in the lineup. They put this guy in by the name of Paulo Cesar. He had a reputation of being a goon. And when we saw that, it says, they are sending a message. Hey, England, we might have been manhandled 4 years ago. We got living hell kicked out of us. We got our goon now. You try that with us, we're going to sick him on him. And he did. I mean, he was constantly all over some of their key players, just like nicking them, kicking them, pushing them. The British were getting exasperated with him, but they did put somebody in there to be mean. And Brazil didn't need that, by the way. There was a constellation of stars in that team. But for that one game, we're going to put this guy in.
I love it. And certainly, as you mentioned, Josh, and we talked all year, when Miazga's not in, we miss that. Obi was a bit of that when he was Obi. Like, he wasn't mean, but he was going to give you He was gonna give
you in a crunching tackle if he needed to.
Yeah, no doubt. That transitions us a little bit to our needs for next year. What's on the table? Like, who's on the table from other teams, other free agents? Who might Chris Albright be looking at, Rupesh?
Well, one thing that we didn't note, and I don't remember which one you said, central attacking mid might be a need.
Mm-hmm.
There's rumors out there. Tommy Scoops is reporting that Dado's on the trade block. Like, teams are calling and the club's listening. And if Dado goes, we don't have a backup 10 at that point. So that's definitely going to be a need also. The biggest free agent out there, and I don't think we're looking at him, is Walker Zimmerman at center back. I don't see where we get him. We're 5 deep on the roster right now at center back. I don't know that you need a Walker Zimmerman. We have center attacking mids like Bryce Duke, who could be a good backup for Evander. There's a lot of wingbacks or wingers like Paul Rothrock out of Seattle. Rumors are out of there that he's not going to re-sign with Seattle, or they're having a tough time negotiating. The rumor I heard is he wants max TAM kind of money. I don't know that FCC can afford that, so that may not work. I don't know how to say the gentleman's name. He was for Columbus. Lassi Lapanainen is a free agent. He's a left winger. That could be another possibility. Mm-hmm. And if we want a right winger and like move Ender more offensive, Brooks Lennon out of Atlanta also has become a free agent. One thing to note that I didn't say when I spoke earlier was that just because somebody re-signed or the club picked up their option does not necessarily mean they're going to be on the team next year. Mm-hmm. And all the offseason mechanisms start this week. The official free agent list comes out tomorrow, and free agency opens up, I believe, Wednesday at noon Central, so 1 o'clock our time. Waiver wires open up this week. The re-entry draft opens up this week. And I believe it's the 18th is the super draft, which I know doesn't really mean much, but it is out there. So all of the mechanisms open up in the next 9 days. So there's going to be a lot of roster moves made in the next week or so. And one name I forgot to say was Nuhu Tolo out of Seattle. Mm-hmm. Left back, who's an attacking left back, is also, I don't know that they re-signed him or not, but that'd be an interesting name. If for some reason Orishano's gone, Nuhu is half the price. And that would be, save some money, because I know we've said it a lot where we don't seem to get value out of our defensive players, and that's where a lot of people in MLS do, and that could be a good value for that position. So those would be the guys I would be looking at.
So you mentioned, that's interesting, Rupesh, that just because Cincinnati picked up their option, I wanted to get to this, doesn't mean they'll stay on the team. They'll remain there, and they'll start the 2026 season. So of the ones that we mentioned, Brian Anunga, Teenage Hadeb, Steven Jimenez, Evan Leroux, Mamba Dem, and Matt Miazga. Are any of those names ones that you think, or anybody, I'll open it up to everyone here, do you think may not be with the team at the kickoff of the 2026 MLS season?
If you want me to go, the one that I think, just based off of the club giving Miles a DP contract, and it sounds like Teenage is actually negotiating for a multi-year contract or negotiating his contract, I think Matt Miazga may not be here. It sounds like the team's not negotiating with him on a new contract. If that's the case, I could see him being gone. Now, I wouldn't expect anything to happen with him until Walker Zimmerman gets signed in free agency, because why make a trade for Matt Miazga when you can get Walker Zimmerman on a free? That would be the one name that I would look at that might get traded from the guys we re-signed.
Yeah. Anybody else want to chime in on that one? We've got a couple questions in the chat I want to get to, but I want to stick to this one first.
No, I think that's the answer, right? Like the way with what his money was, some people did some kind of investigative work a little bit and trying to figure out exactly what his contract will be. It doesn't sound like Matt Miazga might, because Laurel kind of hinted at this a little bit, that she said in a tweet that was just because a guy has an option doesn't mean he's going to make more. It means he's going to make more the next year. So there's kind of some some things are out there that Matt Miazga might actually not have a pay raise next year with his option, which is why maybe FC Cincinnati is more willing to pick it up, negotiate, or whatever. So, but I think it's just that's the obvious answer, because, like you said, Rupesh, like, he's got to feel some type of way about them hitching their wagon to Miles Robinson, and who knows. So I think if you can sacrifice a guy or maybe get some kind of asset from a guy who's probably looking for his last big contract of his career, that Matt Miazga makes a lot of sense for a cash for trade later on.
Yeah. Jose, any insight?
The one that makes me a little nervous is when you said that they're negotiating that David wants to negotiate a multi-year contract. That makes me nervous. I mean, yes, the guy is spectacular. You know, when he does his scissor clearing, okay, he's physical. But I'm just not convinced that we would want a guy like him at his age also, and I'm old, by the way, on a multi-year deal. So I'm hoping Chris, and I'm sure Chris is smarter than that. As I'm thinking, I can't have this guy a multi-year. So I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves because of that. If he insists on having a multi-year contract and they don't give it to him, he might just say, okay, so I'm out of here. And we go back to how we still need some depth in those positions.
Yeah. I want to start with, there's two questions in the chat. I want to start with this one. Anyone outside of MLS that we have eyes on? That's hard to say. Like, I don't know. I haven't heard rumors, but the name that I always hear coming up from FC Cincinnati fans talk about a guy that hopefully, maybe, potentially would want to ever come back to Cincinnati would be Yerson Mosquera. I don't see that happening, but that's a name that I know is floated out there a lot. We'd love to see Yerson back in Cincinnati. Earlier in the chat, we had Cliff Adams saying Vasquez returns. We like these stories. Like, that would be great. With that knee injury this year, maybe he returns on a lesser contract. Who knows? I don't see that happening. But so to that point, Rupesh, anybody on the radar outside of MLS that you're aware of?
I haven't heard anything. I am seeing around the league a lot of international younger defenders getting brought in. I believe Nashville just announced one. I think Chicago just announced one in the last few days. That's a trend. One trend that a lot of people are saying is Eastern European leagues getting raided. That's how we got Pavel. We got Sam Geedy out of an Eastern European league. Those are things that I could see happening, but I haven't heard any names. I haven't seen anybody really speculating anything with FC Cincinnati outside of MLS. So I haven't seen it, and I mean, I don't have sources. My sources are what everybody else sees, right?
Sure.
Reading Blue Sky or whatever. So
and sometimes those come out of nowhere.
Right.
We hear a name and we're like, who is this guy? Right. And Chris Albright's been watching him for 2-3 seasons at that point, and holds the cards close. The other question comes from Jay Yates, and I wanted to address this too. Any insight, Rupesh, on FCC2 guys that might make the jump? Now, let's preface this by saying FCC2 just kind of wholesale turned over their roster. They kept 5 players, I believe, from the 2025 roster for 2026. Yes. So if there's any that might make the jump, it would have to be from those 5.
Right. I believe they had 4 defenders and 1 midfielder is what they kept. The defenders that I remember they kept were Brian Schaefer, who was a draft pick a few years ago, and Andre Shirilla, Stefan's little brother, who we got over from the Philly Academy in 2024. He played all the games, if I remember correctly, for FCC2 last year. And Laurel has reported that he actually has a homegrown deal for the big team next year. So he'll be on the supplemental roster. I'll wait. I trust Laurel. She knows what she's talking about, but I haven't seen that officially, but I would assume that's correct. So him. Other than that, I don't, like you said, there's wholesale changes. This is the second year in a row where the vast majority of the club has been let go. So last year it was only 7 guys left. This year it's 5. So I don't see what it could be. The one guy that I was excited about was Amir Daly, who played back. They let him go. So that one kind of stung for me to see that happen.
Yeah, and he performed really well early in the season until that collarbone injury, and then we didn't see him again, at least with the ones team. Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions on FCC2? I know that was reported just recently, their roster turnover. Josh, we talked a little bit pre-show about that. The question...
I mean, you got to include the coaching there now too. I mean,
Right on.
they just recently announced that both two coaches, including the top man, is gone. So you're getting FCC2 is going to be brand new next year, and I think the where you were alluding to this is like, is this a good way of doing it? And I think FCC2 is in a spot right now where you kind of have to do that until they can build the pipeline from the back up, where you're talking U12s, 13s, 14s, the young kids, where you can keep those kids in a pipeline for a long time. I think you just kind of they're all lottery tickets. FCC2 was a lottery tickets, and it's if it doesn't look like it's going to pan out, then you throw the lottery ticket away and you buy another one. Like that's especially since it's a thing. There's no salary cap there. It's not like you're working under GAM to work underneath FCC2 or whatever. You just get whoever you want, really, as long as they fit the parameters of the roster construction, which, depending on what team you are, you can kind of skirt upper team rules by buying guys for the 2 team, but whatever, Miami cough. Certainly some ways to do it, but like you can get you're just gonna have to find those guys, and hopefully this is one of those things that eventually pays off. But until then, just shuffle the deck. Don't put somebody's name on the back of a 2 kit that hopefully they eventually sell, because you just can't guarantee that those are going to be there in a year.
Yeah. A question on FCC2, the 2's team. Like, I haven't seen them play. I don't know how many games you guys have watched. Style of play, do they line up in the 5-back, 3-back system like the senior roster? Is this is potentially a move maybe to get some guys that fit more of that style, or have they been playing that for a while now, Rupesh?
I think last year I remember they were in the 3-backs. I remember Adnan, Schaefer, and Sharilla being the 3 center backs with Amir Daly on the right side. I don't remember who was on the left, but they definitely, if I remember correctly, the few times I saw them, they were playing the 3 center back process. But I mean, you would think you want to have the 2 team play the same way the big team does, right? What's the point of having them play a different style? You want to have every team in the pipeline playing the same roster, so you know who's ready for which positions.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think maybe with Coach Marshall and Coach Thomas, it was just time. They'd been there 4 years, and it was time for them to move on. And like it was said earlier, this is what you do with the 2 team. If these guys don't look like they're going to work out or be on the team, just let them go and let's reload.
Yeah. There's a lot of USL 1 rosters looking for players right now. USL Championship rosters looking for players next season for sure. Let's put this conversation to rest for now, because there, as you mentioned, there will be moves, or the mechanisms at least open up this week, and so we expect some moves to be made. Maybe shortly, maybe later in the off season, but we'll be keeping our eyes on that. Let's move into a little bit of World Cup conversation. I know we're at the top of the hour. We don't have a ton of time for this, but I do want to get into it a little bit. The World Cup draw started, was it Friday? I think it's still going on from what I hear. It was a long event. And that's one I did not watch. And so I'm hearing what I've heard. I'm glad I didn't. But teams are set, groups are set, other than some UEFA playoffs that need to happen to get some of the last 4, I think it's 4 spots left.
6, actually.
Is there 6 left?
Yep,
okay.
6 left. Yeah.
All right, so 6 more spots left, which is crazy when you think about
it. Is
48 teams in the World Cup. One thing I looked at, was watching, looking through the groups with my son the other day, and I was like, which group would you name as like the group of death, right? Like, and there just really isn't. So feels really watered down with the field of 48 right now. So thoughts on USA's in Group D with Paraguay, Australia, and then the winner of Turkey, Romania, Slovakia, or Kosovo are the 4 that could potentially be there.
I think the U.S. has a great chance of getting out of the group. I mean, yeah, beat Paraguay, but Here's the deal. Paraguay is always strong in World Cups. If something happens to them and they just rise to the occasion, and you can't just assume, well, we beat them once, we'll do it again. Turkey could be a tough nut to crack if they qualify. I mean, they're one of the teams that will be in the playoff in March. They seem to be the favorites to get out of that group, but you never know. And they should be able to beat Australia. But again, don't let your guard down. What I liked about the U.S. team is that they finally started to show cohesion in the last three games and a killer instinct, which you guys know is my favorite subject.
Yeah.
So I think, the skills are finally being leveraged. I think, the lines are finally playing together, more fluid. Now the question is, will Posh stick to a 3 or to a back 4? We don't know. I mean, I know that I think they still have a couple of more friendlies next year. I don't remember. So it's going to depend on, what kind of formation he likes. That's my take on the USMNT group stage. I don't know if anybody else has anything to say about it.
The one thing I would add is that if Turkey does qualify out of that qualifying group, the U.S. team in this last 4 or 5 months has played all 3 of those teams. They played Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey, so they know how those guys play. So that's kind of a good deal. I think that's never happened before where the U.S. has done that. So that's just an interesting twist if it is Turkey that comes through.
Yeah. It seems to have been a noticeable change in the culture. Like, I'm a culture guy. Watching teams and how they perform, how they get along on the field is minimal there, but how they perform as a unit, right? Jose, you said they're leveraging their skills. I think there's something about buying into maybe Poch's system.
Yes.
Or
absolutely.
Poch being able to get control of the team and, elevate guys like Diego Luna, who would go to bat. He would die for his team out there. He would he'll play with a broken nose and just fight through it, and leveraging those kind of guys who want it, who are hungry, and what it's developed with other players around him. Now, I'm not in that locker room. Obviously, I can't say definitively, but the eye test to me is the culture has shifted from, I talked about on our show last night, our Fort Wayne show, that we started our first episode in April 27th this year, right? And our early conversations with our team there about the U.S. men's national team were that this isn't going to happen. These guys, this Poch's system's not working. They're not buying in, whatever. And now it's okay, we've got some hope. We've seen something change in just a few short months with this team. Missing guys like Christian Pulisic, missing guys like Serginho Dest for a long time until recently, missing guys like Weston McKennie, who hasn't seen the field very often, if at all, with Poch, right? So we're missing some of the key players, and the guys that have stepped up and stepped in have really risen to the occasion. I do think it's a system and a culture thing too, even more than just leveraging those talents and skills of those particular players. What can you tell us? Mexico's in Group A. What can you tell us about Mexico's team, Jose, as a fan of that country?
In other years, I would say, okay, I think we'll get out of there. But now I'm not sure. And I'm not sure because this version of the team, it's a shadow of what the team used to be in the 1990s and early 2000s. I mean, that team had character, had great players, had coaches who leveraged that talent. They were gritty. They didn't get intimidated. It could be Brazil, Germany, Argentina. They would not get intimidated. I mean, they fought to the end. And then things started to fall apart when certain decisions were made at the federation level. And frankly, it's been going downhill for about 20 years. I mean, a lot of us have seen it. Now, Mexico has a fierce fan base, and some of them say, no, it's just a cycle. But a lot of us that are a little bit more clear-eyed, we have seen a steady decline since the 2002 World Cup, quite frankly, when the U.S. beat Mexico 2-0. That's probably when the 2-0 started. Actually started before in Columbus when they beat us 2-0. But it has been going downhill since then. So what's happening is that they're in a relatively, quote-unquote, easy group, but a lot of us are saying we're not sure. I mean, South Korea we've beaten them twice, by the way, in World Cup play. This is a very different South Korea team. We always struggle against African teams. It was like always. And then, of course, if we get somebody like Denmark, I just don't see how we can beat them. So they have their work cut out for them. And they chose a coach that has failed twice in World Cup play. It's a recycle guy. He's playing old style soccer. So a lot of us fans are not very confident that we are going to do well, even get out of the group stage. And I've been saying this for a while, guys. I think the U.S. is going to make a deeper run than Mexico.
I think it's interesting you traced Mexico's kind of decline back to 2002. I would have pinned it to Memo Ochoa's comments in, I think, 2021 that Mexico is the mirror the United States looks in. And then that fateful game at TQL Stadium when Christian Pulisic comes in 20 minutes left in the game and scores on Ochoa and raises his shirt that says "Man in the Mirror." I was there for that match too. I think that's when Mexico's decline really started.
I'll disagree with you on that one. I mean, yeah, that was a stupid comment that Ochoa made, by the way. But yeah, this decline has been going on for a long time now.
Yeah. And then we have Canada in Group B. So the three host countries, Mexico in D, or USA in D, Mexico Group A, Canada in Group B, with Switzerland, Qatar, and then another winner of one of the other UEFA playoffs, Italy, Northern Ireland, Wales, and Bosnia-Herzegovina. Canada's been playing well. They've been consistently good since the last World Cup cycle. They've continued to increase and get better. I think I see them coming out of that. Switzerland has a pretty good team as well.
Very tough, yeah.
And then I've heard rumors of Wales maybe this year, but I don't know much about Wales and their squad this year. So, Josh, any thoughts on Group B with Canada, Switzerland, Qatar, and then winner of the other UEFA tournament?
I don't like their chances. I mean, they have some of the best talent that they've had ever. Obviously, Jonathan David is incredible as one of the better strikers out in Europe right now. And then Alphonso Davies, we've seen. Now, can Alphonso Davies stay healthy is the biggest question.
Yeah,
if he's available, he's had some serious injury bug the last couple of seasons. So if he can stay healthy, they'll have a fighting chance for sure. I think Switzerland is one of those countries that just people forget is just an elite talent, they play a style and good luck because they know how to play. They've played the same way for 3 centuries, and it just bullies people. So I think that's the clear winner. And then I think Jose, you put it in the notes. If it's Italy, good luck. Italy is such a crapshoot. They are arguably as much of a random team as the United States is, but yeah, I just don't think they're on that hunt for one of those wild card teams, right? One of those third place teams that could sneak in right there, but that's tough. I mean, that's you feel a lot better if you're a U.S. national team player or U.S. men's national team fan than you are a Canadian national team fan.
But home field advantage, it can be instrumental. I mean, I was at a couple of Mexico games in 1986, went to that World Cup, and, we were playing a couple of tough teams, and the crowd was, 114,000 crazy fans like us just screaming and pushing the team forward, and they beat a couple of very good European teams. So I think home field advantage can be instrumental, but they're still going to need quality. They're still going to be inspired play because Mexico played very inspired in that World Cup, by the way. So they're going to need their top talent to come through, play inspired, and the crowd to push them. And that goes to Mexico and the U.S. too, by the way.
Oh, for sure. And I know turnout for U.S. men's national team games from U.S. fans has been less than ideal in recent years, especially this year. So earning some fan support, getting people in the stadium will be huge and potentially have that advantage. But I remember being at a U.S. national team game at Nippert Stadium when they played Venezuela, and Venezuelan fans outnumbered the U.S. fans. It felt like 2-1, if not more. And my son was getting he was much younger at that point, was getting incredibly angry. why are they cheering for Venezuela? We're in the United States. And I'm like, they all came. Anybody that's in range of driving or flying that is a Venezuelan fan showed up. And
Well,
the U.S. fans were like, maybe we'll go. Maybe
that's
not.
a problem of how they price these friendlies, right? I mean, they
Yeah.
price them so ridiculously high. I honestly feel like they've tapped out the Cincinnati market. Like, how many times can you come here and put the prices at the price point they do for a friendly and expect American fans to show up? Like, if you're like when Morocco came here in the build-up for 2022, right?
Mm-hmm.
This might be the only chance I have to, if I'm a Moroccan, this might be the only chance I have to see Morocco play anywhere close to me if I'm from that diaspora in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
So of course they're going to shout. That was the game where Pulisic afterwards said there weren't enough Americans in the stand, and I was like, I questioned what the hell he was talking about, because honestly, the fans that were cheering for Morocco were also cheering for the U.S. It was just that, hey, I get to see my home country play. Of course I'm going to cheer for them. I'd do the same thing if India ever got any good and came here to play. So, I mean, I don't blame anybody. Of course it's going to feel like that when you're making the prices as ridiculous as the U.S. Soccer Federation does.
Yeah.
And
speaking of prices,
yeah.
World Cup prices,
yeah.
right?
Don't get me going.
No, I think to Rupesh, to your point, like I think the United States men's national team are going to be in for a stark awakening of they're going to feel like the visiting team in most of the stadiums that they will play in, because like Christian Pulisic's comments where he must have slept through civics class and learned what immigration is aside, like this is like there are United States citizens who are seeing their home countries, their birth countries or whatever, arguably for the first time. And it's like, it's here. They're going to, like, people are going to go. And then that's not even counting from people who are coming over from those countries. Like it's going to be special in the sense that like this will feel like the global game that it is. But I think if you're looking for the home field advantage, the United States national team probably isn't going to have it in most of the games they play. And that's from people who are American citizens. So like it'll be fun. It'll be interesting to watch.
Interesting is a good word for it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. But guys, we want to wrap up the show here. We've got some final thoughts, and again, as we started the season, our best and worst of the season, I want to bring this back to FC Cincinnati and the season that they've had, the offseason you're looking forward to, and expectations maybe next year, where your final thoughts fit into that range. And Jose, I'll let you kick us off with your final thoughts tonight.
Well, first of all, I mean, thank you for having me on the show, and thank to everyone that has been watching the show. I mean, we really appreciate it. It's great to know that there are people out there who are interested in what we have to say. And personally, again, it's been an honor and it's been a pleasure to be on these shows. I predicted FCC finishing fourth, and I was wrong. But I also said at the beginning of the season, the importance of chemistry, which we've talked about already, never really materialized, and it caught up with us. Front office is going to have to spend time thinking about those intangibles. Okay, what do they need to do? And we talked about some of that today. You know, the depth, the meanness, the leadership. I mean, these are things that are going to be important as they plug in some additional players there to fill in those gaps. The World Cup will be a great event, by the way. I mean, okay, yes, there will be games, as I really want to watch that game. But once, the bottom of the ranking teams are eliminated, we're going to see some really good matches. And if anybody has an opportunity, those of you that are listening, to go to a World Cup game, I know the prices are ridiculous right now, but I'm sure they'll come down. Go to one. It is unlike anything you have ever experienced. I've been to 2 World Cups, and if I could afford this one, which I don't know yet, I would go to at least one game. And there are going to be some doozies of games. And Norway, Spain, Uruguay, France, Ecuador, Germany. Ecuador finished second, by the way, and they're qualifying in South America. So keep an eye on those guys. And finally, I'm going to be writing some histories about the various World Cups starting the first week of January. So, hopefully you get a chance to read them. I've been accumulating those for some time now. I'm beefing them up a little bit, and it's just a little hobby of mine that I have there that say, well, what happened in previous World Cups? Again, thank you, everybody. Really appreciate the opportunity, the viewers, And I wish everybody a happy holiday.
Wow. Jose, it's been good to have you on the show this season. I know early on you jumped in to fill in once or twice, and everybody was like, "We love Jose," and so it's been really good to have you on and what you've added. And
hopefully hopefully they haven't changed their minds. Was that this guy again?
No. Always good to have you on, Jose, and even fun seeing you in Nashville this season.
Yes, that was fun.
FC Cincinnati and Nashville. You know, I got to hang out a little bit down there, so a lot of fun there. Where can people find the histories of the World Cup? Will that be published on CST's site?
Yes, it will be on our CST website. And I've already been talking to Bridget about it. Is it Bridget or Bridget?
Bridget,
right?
Yep.
Yeah, Bridget. Apologize, Bridget, if you're listening. Yes, she and I have been talking. She's been guiding me also in doing the proper, make sure that proper people are credited for the photos and all that. So yes, it will be on our website starting the first week of January.
Fantastic. Look forward to that. Once again, Jose, thank you for being part of the show. Rupesh, final thoughts tonight.
First of all, thanks for having me, Brian. I really do appreciate it. Hope I provided some insight. I don't know. But
absolutely.
My two major thoughts are today is 75 days until FC Cincinnati plays their first game next year on February 21st against Atlanta United. There's not much time left. And, there's going to be a lot of turnover on the squad, but I think we have a good core to build out of. So that's one thing. And the other thing that I do want to note is tomorrow night, I believe it's 7:00, is the draw for the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And we'll see who FC Cincinnati gets in that first round. So that's another thing to keep an eye on. I'm not sure that the schedule has been posted yet on when games would be until the draw happens, but I know it'll be right there in early February. Games will be starting. So we got 75 days till MLS kicks off, and it might be a little bit less for CONCACAF Champions Cup. We'll see. So those are my two thoughts. And, just keep an eye. We're going to try to keep up the best we can with this offseason roster moves. And thanks, everybody, for having me, and happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah. Rupesh, good to have you on the show tonight. Always good to have you in the chat. Good to have you as part of the CST squad this year. And I think we first met. You twisted my arm to buy some raffle tickets at the.
Yes, that's right. At the Norden Star for Lisa.
Yeah. Beginning of the season.
Okay,
so it's been good to get to know you this season and have you on tonight. So thanks for being here.
Thank you,
Josh. Final thoughts.
Yeah, Rupesh and Jose, you guys both bring incredible insights to what we do in CSC. So I thank you guys. It's always a pleasure. Rupesh, first time being in the podcast with us, it was awesome to actually formally meet you. And Jose, obviously, I'm so looking forward to those histories. Like, I'm a history nerd, and like this is merging my soccer love and history love. So I'm very excited for that. So to Rupesh, anybody want to watch tomorrow, CONCACAF's YouTube channel will have the draw at 7. So I know there was some weirdness about where that is. So check it out there. My final thoughts is, a lot of what Rupesh said of like this, this off season is short. And for me as a sports, kind of behind sports spreadsheet nerd, like the off season is one of my favorite parts of any sports season on any level. Like, there's so much potential that like the roster, like as we mentioned earlier, the roster today will not be the roster by the end of the month, which will not be the roster come February, which will not be the like it just never ends. So this is an exciting time. Feel it. Don't dive too much about, oh wow, we didn't change things. Like, things will change. Things are going to be exciting. So look forward to that. The building blocks are there. Like I mentioned, like I don't think we're not going to see, to contradict myself completely, like it's exciting about the change that's coming, but the thing I'm most excited for next year is some continuity for the first time under Pat Noonan in a long time. 2022-23 was really that big kind of, all right, you're building off of Lucho Acosta and Brenner and Brandon Vasquez. Like, you're not having that much continuity in the attack this year. Obviously, you're losing Brenner, allegedly, potentially, but to have a full season where you have, as of now, 11 of the 10 or 9 of the 11 starters in play, ready to go from the full season. Like
Yep.
the continuity that is available, that is potentially going to be there. Like I think that's going to hopefully pay dividends. Like I think that's going to play a bigger piece into what this team looks like next year. So I'm very excited for continuity. I'm very excited for change at the same time. So let's speed up this 75 days because I'm about ready for soccer again. I took my little vacation leave. Now I'm ready.
Yeah, so you started the comment by saying the postseason, the off season's your favorite. Now let's speed it up. Let's speed
it up. Oh, yeah, we're the warp speed, change everything. Let's go. Let's just go because it's gonna be as we saw last year. Literally anything can happen at the moment of somebody hopping on ESPN Argentina and changing their mind about their entire perspective. So like anything can happen. So it's gonna be fun.
It's going to be fun, that's for sure. Josh, again, thanks for being part of the show tonight. It's been fun having you on here a little bit more often end of this 2025 season. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago, it's been a pleasure just being your host this season of Cincinnati Soccer Talk, and we will keep you posted as movement happens throughout this postseason. I don't know what our weekly schedule will be like, but we'll continue to keep things in front of you as news happens, and we'll bring you into the chat, and we'll get on some shows, and we'll have some conversation about that. But so it's been a fun season, and we'll keep it rolling as news breaks. Final thoughts though from me this year, guys. Like FC Cincinnati has continued to put a good product on the field for 3.5 good seasons here. And I don't see that changing next year. Now, obviously, trophies, if that is the ultimate prize, trophies have eluded FC Cincinnati aside from the Supporter Shield a few years ago. But they give us something to cheer for week in, week out, season after season, which we wouldn't have said 4 years ago, right? Cincinnati didn't put a good product on the field for 3 straight years, and now we've got a great team that we can get behind and support. Now, there are things that maybe we lost our mind about that you look back and you go, it was one game, right? We lost our heads. We got a little irrational. It was one game, but the body of work in 2025 was solid. Did they lack a killer instinct? Absolutely. Did they win a lot of games? Absolutely. Did they barely win a lot of games? For sure. Right? But they give us something to keep us engaged and keep us fans behind them, supporting them. And so I will take that any day over a team that is mediocre, mid-table. Will they make the playoffs? Will they not? If they make the playoffs, how far are they going to go, right? And so I think next year, I said it earlier in the show, I think next year will be a telling year for the squad. After spending so much money this season on what could be, and that what could be not quite materializing the way they had hoped it would, I'm anxious to see how they build, what pieces they bring in. Low contracts, high contracts. We don't have a ton of money to work with, as Rupesh pointed out this year or earlier in this show, but we have some money that we could get some significant pieces in here to elevate the players that we spent a lot of money on this last season. And so I'm looking forward to greater success for FC Cincinnati next year, more success, and maybe a trophy next season as we get some wing backs that can serve balls in, get some depth in the midfield, whatever it looks like for FC Cincinnati. Just thrilled to be a supporter of a successful team in Cincinnati that you know is going to be a good team, not hopeful of what could be if we don't get the injuries, if we don't have the contracts, if we don't get whatever. Don't throw that interception. I don't know. Throw 2 in a row. I don't know what it is. FC Cincinnati gives us something to cheer for, and for that, I'm grateful this season. Thanks for being part of Cincinnati Soccer Talk all this season. Like I said, we'll keep you posted as news breaks, and we'll see you soon. Happy holidays.